Hey, everybody, welcome back to Rote Reactions. And we're going to do just a small little thing here. I thought it was kind of interesting. Now, we've been doing this for over a year, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to let you all hear what Albert's been thinking over this whole long period of all these things I've been throwing at him and what his thoughts are. Because before all of this, he obviously wasn't exposed to a lot of this different queer media. So a lot of it was new and fresh for him. So I thought it might be kind of fun for you guys to find out what he's been thinking and how he's been experiencing it all. So, Albert, let him
Yes,
know what you've been thinking generally.
of course. Oh my God. I don't know what I expected when we started this. I was like, "Ooh, it's going to be fun, like watching a bunch of queer media and seeing what it is." But I was coming to it, at first I was a little apprehensive. I think I have to confess I was a little apprehensive because I grew up like I was born in 83. So it's like I growing up, all I saw in the media was like the depressing gay movie where everyone dies or where the gay character is either killed or something horrible happens. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to just be jumping into a world full of that. And now I realize, especially after that documentary we watched, The Celluloid Closet, that was just like a period within the history of cinema and queer media and everything where it was like that. And I just happened to grow up around that time. And that I kind of internalized all those things. And I was like, oh no, like gay media is depressing, but it's not. I think I think that's the one thing that I'm taking out of all of this entire year is the huge diversity of voices. And I like the joy that I've been able to see in some of the titles, how much I've been able to learn. It's not all doom and gloom. And I knew that from literature and everything, but with film specifically, I don't think I'd ever like because the movies I watched were always like that. They were always sad, and the gay guy died, and I'm like, so I don't know. I think that's the thing that
That's
I've
your
learned the
overriding
most. Yeah,
feeling.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I will tell you my favorite reaction of yours. And I think the culmination, it's kind of a tiny bit of a letdown only because we had a technical glitch when it happened. But it was when your camera failed towards the end of one of the movies we were watching, and it was part of our Tchaikovsky trilogy.
Ooh,
And we had shown you the life of Tchaikovsky.
By the age of 29, Tchaikovsky's prodigious talents had been recognized, and he'd been appointed a professor of music at the Moscow Conservatoire. It was while teaching that Tchaikovsky had his first great romance. He met and fell in love with a teenage student called Edward Zach. Their mutual infatuation was poured into Tchaikovsky's work, and into one piece in particular.
My favorite of his.
really?
You can hear the competing melodies playing against each other.
Oh, this is fascinating.
And they answer strings.
This is Romeo and Juliet, Tchaikovsky's first masterpiece. Outwardly,
Okay.
it's a brilliant musical evocation of Shakespeare's great tragedy, the passions of its star-crossed lovers, and the feuding Montagues and Capulets.
Right.
The musical argument that's happening,
Hmm.
the tension rising. These are all things he's brought to the table.
Also, this kind of composition wasn't common at the time. This was
Right.
just like because this is very intense, like very intense.
It's an 18-minute piece, and when I discovered it at the age of 8, I used to play this over and over and over again because I just loved everything about this piece.
Sure.
But however brilliantly he captures the fury of battle and the plight of the young lovers, Tchaikovsky's letters reveal that the true inspiration behind Romeo and Juliet lay much closer to home. The piece is in fact a love letter to Edward Zach. And the great love theme, which so excited and shocked the public when Romeo and Juliet was premiered, shows that Tchaikovsky was able to forge from his personal experience a new musical style. Nothing as erotically charged, as sexually suggestive as this.
I think you've heard
had
this
ever been heard
passage before.
in a concert hall.
It's often used in movies and stuff when they try to
Yes, it's used very, very often. Yeah.
It's almost orgasmic in the way that it comes forward, and nobody had ever played, composed something like this before. So
It's
shocking.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hearing it in context, because I'd never heard the entire piece. Like I just heard a couple of bits, but
we know these melodies. That's the thing. So when this part plays, you've heard it. I mean, they even use it in SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, they use it in everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you now know it was his love letter to the first boy he had a romance with.
This is so cool.
And you can hear the longing in it, you know?
I know. Oh my God. This is beautiful.
And then we watched the gay version of Swan Lake, you know.
Oh, that is lovely. Wow.
I admire ballet dancers. I really do. They are some of the most dedicated people I have ever met to their craft. And it is so hard on the body. It is so hard on the body. I love this sequence because it's really where the swan seduces him. And see every movement with the shoulder.
It's so cool.
Everything.
Yes.
He's so good. But look at that, just the sheer majesty of his shapes.
That looked like he looked like he was floating. Jesus.
And he makes it look so effortless.
Oh.
See what I mean? The swan seducing him. You can see it. I love that lift. You know?
This is lovely. Wow.
Don't mind me while I wipe my sweat all over you.
Right.
And then we got to the Billy Elliot reaction. And when we got to the end, and I had kept my mouth shut, I did not let anything out of the bag. And we got to that moment where you were going to see Adam Cooper walk up in the outfit that he dances in Swan Lake. And I was waiting for that entire reaction. And 2 minutes before we got there, your camera died. And we had to scramble and have you go use your, I think it was a different camera you had. You had an old one and you had to hook it in. And so when we got you back into it, the feed hadn't synced up properly. So like you're kind of choppy, but we can hear everything you're saying, you know. Cut it together.
Oh Jesus, no way, no way, no way, no. Oh, this is he the swan?
Now you know why I put it in this order.
Oh my God.
It makes so much more powerful for you to see it this way.
No way.
Billy, your family here. Thanks.
Oh my God. Jeez. Oh, fuck. Whoa. No. This is. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it's him.
Wonderful Adam Cooper.
It is.
And you know what this looks like because you see it.
Yes. Whoa.
But that reaction by far and away was my
Oh.
absolute favorite because it came from out of nowhere, and you're like, no way, no fucking way.
That was such a good payoff. Yeah, I was like the entire documentary and everything just for that moment. And I knew something was coming. I didn't know quite what it was going to be. And then when it finally came, I was blown away. Oh my God, those are the kinds of things that I think are so happy and joyful about. For example, I had no idea Tchaikovsky was gay. No one had ever even mentioned it to me. And I'm like, wow, like we are in so many places in the cultural life of the world.
Mhm.
And I think much of it has been downplayed historically, especially.
Yeah.
So watching all of these films it's really eye-opening because of this. And when before, like some of the older movies we've watched, well, maybe the characters aren't super openly gay, but there's a lot of subtext, there's a lot
Like
of things. And
Rope.
if you know what to look for, we are there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, it's so reassuring,
Yeah. Yeah.
that because in the
It
past I was
shows
like,
our
well,
resilience.
yeah, exactly. Despite whatever, like all this discrimination that we've faced as a community for however long, we are always there. And I like that as human beings, not just us in the queer community, but everyone. Just when we do something creative, we kind of try to give something back to the world to make it a little bit better. And I think when you're watching all of these films, it just makes me happy, and it gives me a better sense of community. Because growing up, I didn't really have that. And if I'd had this context growing up, I think it would have made all the world a difference for me.
I wonder, the question I've had in the back of my mind when we've been doing these is I wonder how much of these titles that we've watched that have you seen like in streaming services you have there in Mexico, or if I mean, are there, like, have you seen some of these titles go by before and just never watched it until I threw it at us for a reaction?
You
Or
know,
were these complete surprises when I bring them to you?
a few of them, like over here in Mexico, some of the like the most famous ones have been shown and everything, but it's only like, I mean, if you ask any random person over here, I guess, like, have you ever seen a gay film? I guess they'll tell you Brokeback Mountain, maybe.
Right.
Like,
Because
it's
it was a
like kind of
biggie.
like, yeah. But many of
Or the
these other
Birdcage.
films, oh yeah, well, yeah, I suppose maybe. I'm not even sure they would.
Oh,
You,
really?
you mean the 90s version?
Yeah, the one with Robin Williams.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe at the time, but it's just there is like gay cinema over here and some really wonderful titles that I've watched, but it's not, or at least, yeah, it's not as widespread. I don't think. Yeah, no. So when if I would were to just go around and ask people, I don't think there would be this sense because myself, I didn't have it. And there's stuff all over, like streaming services, they have those things. But whether people are actually watching them, I'm not sure.
Do you think like any of your gay friends would have known some titles if you had said, "Hey, I want to watch something about us"? Is it, what do you guys know about? Do you is it a common thing that a lot of queer people in Mexico know that there are queer cinema, but maybe even if they're queer, they're not consuming it as much? Or
I think it depends on like personality and stuff. Because yes, like I've met lots of guys who are like, I always come back to this. I think this line, Patrick Stewart says it. I think it's oh my God, I forget the name of the film. And he says there is a pantheon of celebrities that one must know as a gay man, or something like that. He says something along those lines.
yeah, it was in
And I know
Jeffrey.
that oh, it's in Jeffrey. Yes, thank you. Yes, exactly. So, and I always remember that line because I've met many guys like that who know all of the actors from like the golden era of Hollywood up to now and everything, and they've got these huge collections of films. So there's that, obviously, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But like for example, for me, I was like, I didn't like when we started this, I was like, Judy Garland, who? Like I don't like I'm like, what? Like, yeah. So I don't have that because I was more into sci-fi and stuff. I suppose it's just like there's a lot of diversity within the community here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now though, I mean, we have Auntie
Yes.
Mame, we have Rosalind Russell.
Whoa, whoa,
The
whoa,
best
whoa, whoa.
choreographed sequence ever.
Oh, Jesus. It must have been scary. The horse might have been spooked for real. Oh my God. That weird thing is a side saddle?
This whole thing is just hysterical.
Oh my God. This one guy is like, oh my God, no, no, no. There you go. There you go. Oof. Oh no.
Look. He actually put her foot in it.
Oh, okay. All right, you can do it. It's super uncomfortable right saddle.
And now you get why she's the patron saint of our channel, because she was just this powerhouse that had every walk of life around her. She loved she loved her life to be immersed with all this creativity, and and that's exactly what we as queer people like to be. We like having a lot of diversity, and we like experiencing new things. We like seeing ourselves reflected in a lot of these new things, So one of the things I try to do is I try to bring things that I don't think you've seen or known about, but are maybe lesser known. Like when we did Hitchcock's Rope. You see what I mean about them rolling away the furniture and moving.
Yeah. It's really smooth.
What the devil are you doing? Making art?
No. No. They're gonna have the party with the dead guy there.
What do you mean? I just thought it'd be nice to have supper in here.
That is insane. That is insane.
Isn't
What?
it a good idea?
No, it's not. There's a dead guy there.
At least this way no one will try to open it.
What?
Don't think you appreciate me, Philip. I'm beginning to, Brandon. We've got to have some excuse. We don't want to leave our guest of honor alone during supper.
What?
We've got to have an excuse for the others. All right. Let me think. Really, you get much too upset much too easily, Philip. We have a very simple excuse right here. What are you worrying about, Philip?
I don't think that's something you would have ever would have crossed your mind to watch.
Oh, no.
But having watched it and knew it came out in the 40s, and you had this, and when you start seeing it and somebody says, oh yeah, these two guys here, the two murderers, that they're gay, and they're gay in real life. And the moment you get told that, you can't unsee it. It's there. You know what I mean? And then I found out something just last week about that movie that I had never known. You know that piano song that he keeps playing, that Farley Granger keeps playing?
I kind of roped into it.
I became obsessed with this piano piece after this movie.
Has improved, Philip. Rupert.
Oh, he came.
That's written by Poulenc, who I found out was a queer composer.
Oh,
another
that's lovely. Wow. All right.
I just thought it was random that they chose that piece. And I'm like, oh, they chose it because he was gay. That was another way they were signaling to a gay audience of the time, hey, these kids are queer,
Oh my God. I love it. The things that I've been able to learn, and especially these glimpses I've gotten into realities that I never even considered. When we were watching The Women, for instance, it was just like I was delving into a parallel reality that I didn't know about.
You look as low as a swamp, dear. What's up? It's really too disgusting. Stephen can't get away to go to Canada tomorrow. He can't? Well, as long as the trip's off, I think I'll move into town in the morning.
I certainly would if I were you, Mary.
Watercress, I'd just as soon eat my way across a front lawn. Sylvia, what did you mean when you said Mary was living in a fool's paradise? She was trying to make an answer wisecrack about marriage. She said a woman's paradise is always a fool's paradise.
Yeah, no.
Well, Sylvia, whatever I'm living in, I like it. No, thank you. Go ahead, dear. No starch, it's gluten.
Do you ever know such a housewife? Mary, how do you like that?
Too adorable.
You have no idea how it stays on. I get it at Sydney's. You should go, Mary. A wonderful new manicurist.
Really?
Name she's Mom.
Really?
Isn't that divine? Jungle Red.
Looks as if you'd been tearing at somebody's throat.
I'll be darned, Nancy, if I'll let you ride me anymore.
Oh, Sylvia, Nancy's only trying to be clever, too.
Well, she takes a crack at everything about me, even my nails.
Well, I like them. I really do. Sydney's, Olga, Jungle Red. I'll remember.
And it was fascinating. The dialogue was incredible and everything. I'm learning so much. And then we're also, when we were watching like Big Eden, for instance.
Mhm.
Say, Pike, if you don't mind my asking. I wish you wouldn't.
Wow.
Seems we've known each other a long time, Pike, and I don't mean to pry. I don't. But, well, I never suspected that you...
Oh.
I mean, but did you ever think you might... Well,
This is adorable.
what does all this mean, Pike?
I don't know what it means, Jim.
Well, this looks like a mighty fine dinner.
Thanks, Jim.
Good night.
Oh my God, that was so sweet.
That's exactly how my father was around people.
I remember me asking you, like, why isn't one of the main characters, why isn't he participating in the life of the town? Why is he always holding him, why does he always hold himself
The native
back?
now.
You know?
Yeah, the native.
And then you explained, well, this is actually what happens because there's this discrimination, this sense of displacement and everything. And I was like, oh my God, like it's just these random flashes of insight, like, wow, so this is what it's like to live as a person of whatever group.
Well, that's
know?
one of the reasons why I thought you would be perfect for this kind of an experience, because your experience as a Mexican, as a Latino, is different from mine being on north of the border.
Yeah.
We often, you're in the dominant culture. Here, whites are the dominant and we're not. We're gaining, but I mean, as of this point, it's still pretty much a white society here.
Mhm.
So my experience as a Latino on this side of the border is vastly different. So when we watched La Mission, that was one of the things you remember. You were asking me, like, do they really do? Is it, And I remember we had that conversation again.
I'm sorry, babe. What was that?
So my girl said, "What's up?" And I need my Tupperware.
Hey, Anna says what's up, and she needs her Tupperware.
Este vato. Didn't you just talk to her like 5 minutes ago? Yeah, but he forgot to ask for permission to scratch his nalga.
Watch out, bro. I heard.
Hey, where's Timber?
I don't know, man. Hey, yo, Garrett, let's go, man.
That's it.
Thanks, nigga. I'll be home late, so don't wait up.
I won't. I just like to watch you line up the horses. Sharp.
Look at you. How and why all of this was going down the way it was going down, and how they were so consumed with their being Mexican and the culture, that the murals and everything that they had in the mission area and everything, and how it's not as in your face in Mexico because that is the dominant culture.
Right, it's a given. Yeah. And as we have learned more about this, I've really actually started to pay attention to that. I mean, I was always aware that living here as a Mexican in Mexico, I am part of the majority, you know? And like, yes, I'm part of the queer community, but I'm a man living in a pretty, well, I mean, we're changing a little bit. There's elements of misogyny and everything. So I enjoy a certain amount of privilege living where I live. And then I don't know really what it's like to be part of like a visible minority in another place living there, and then looking at these stories from the US and like, okay, it's interesting how reinforcing identity and the ties you have either culturally or socially, whatever, becomes so important.
You almost have to stake your ground.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things, like and I think a lot of Latinos, especially Mexicans, feel that way, having Mexico so close. It's like we want to be in that dominant, immersive part of our culture to experience for ourselves what it's like to be the dominant culture, part of the dominant culture, because it's so foreign to us being on this side of the border, which is one of the reasons why I like to choose doing some foreign films. Like one of the films I want to have coming up is another film about a native kid, and this guy that he sees, and you get to see native Indian peoples actually be drag queens, and you get to see things that you would never experience,
Oh my God.
And so those are the things I like bringing, because I think it's good for everybody to experience these kinds of things, So yeah, hopefully you got a little glimpse of what Albert's been thinking as he's been watching all of this. I mean, I've introduced him to Barbara Streisand. He knew of her, never got to see her. It's completely off.
Oh my God. Oh.
I go back, she goes forward.
Oh my God, no. Oh, please don't tell me she's gonna fall. Okay, no. If the audience thinks like that is part of the show, that would be
Really bad.
Ooh. Whoa. Exactly.
So, there are those moments too. He got to see Victor Victoria with Julie Andrews.
You made a certain offer to me which I could not refuse, and then you pretended to faint.
Don't be ridiculous. I never pretend to faint. What are you doing?
I am helping you to stand up.
Funny, I thought I was standing.
Maybe you'd like to lie down.
That's accusing me.
I'm sure we can do something about it.
Oh no.
Whatever you may think, I'm not an ungenerous man.
Okay.
That's a Patreon exclusive. You can only get it on Patreon because MGM won't let the music in any shape or form show up on YouTube. So it is a Patreon exclusive, but definitely should go check it out because Albert really enjoyed that movie. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we wanted to do. I just wanted to have this little bit of time to ask Albert, what has he been thinking so far? So hopefully you'll join us further in this journey. We have several things coming up. I'll fly a few of them up here so you know what we're doing. I am going to be catching up because, like I said, all of our backlog is now up on Patreon. The full versions are all up there. You can either do a monthly donation, or you can, and there are 3 different levels for that with different kickbacks for joining those and doing a monthly donation. The other way to do it is by either watching a individual episode of a TV series at $3 an episode, or the full movie reactions at $5 a movie. They're completely unedited. They're just from beginning to end, so you get to see everything that's there. I do leave the watermark of rote reactions on the film because I don't want a direct, flagrant version of the movie being shown unedited without anything. I do respect the process and the studio's rights to these things, so I leave them on. And I know somebody commented that was something they thought would be taken off when we put it up on Patreon, but I'm doing it consciously because I do want to respect the studio system in that way and say, yes, it is still their property. We are borrowing it for the reaction, and I'm showing it to you, but I'm still obscuring it or modifying it in a way so it's not the direct film. So there's the answer for that. But yeah, so that's 2 ways you can help support us, or you can go to Buy Me a Coffee and just throw us, a couple of quarters or whatever our way. Every little bit helps because we are trying to create a repository here of queer media and queer content creators. If you're a queer content creator, definitely sign up for your own show. We'll talk about what you do and why you do it and why you're passionate about it. We build a whole show around just what you're doing. So it's free. Go to ropepodcast.com/booking and sign up for an episode. We do book out about 6 months in advance. So if you have a release coming up, in case you're doing a book release or a album release or a song release or something, definitely check out our calendar because you may want to book your date sooner rather than later. And then depending upon where you land with your actual release, we can either do it as a pre-sale or we can do it a release and it's post sale and people can go up and get it right then and there. So we'll work with you on that. But that is an option if you're a queer content creator or create content as an ally for the queer community. So with all of that said, I just wanted to spend a few minutes with Albert and do a catch-up session and ask him what he's been thinking about all of this. I know that Midge Maisel and that crew have delighted him to no end. So I plan on finding new things. We just started one day at a time, and then Grace and Frankie. So he's getting exposure to all these really amazing actors and actresses and the work that they're doing and how the queerness still is threaded through it all, So thanks, Albert. I just wanted to take a few minutes to do this, so definitely join us going forward, and we will catch up again with you real soon. Take care.
Bye.
What's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.